Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he mentioned, "Inna min ashrati sa'a an yatabaha an-nas fil masajid." From amongst the signs of the Day of Judgment, people will start competing with one another in building of masajid. People will start competing with one another in regards to masajid. And he mentioned in another hadith sallallahu alayhi wasallam that from amongst the signs of Qiyamah, he mentioned that the masjid will be up, they will be built, they will look good, amira, they will be lavish, they will be decent, they will be structured. But the people's hearts will be devoid of iman and taqwa. It's something to, look, it's food for thought. We need to really ponder over this and really think. One side, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he mentioned al-masajid buyutul muttaqeen. The houses of Allah, the masajid are the houses of the pious. وَقَدْ ضَمِنَ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى لِمَنْ كَانَتْ بُيُوتُهُمْ الْمَسَاجِدْ بِالرَّوْحِ وَالرَّاحَةِ. Allah Ta'ala has taken it upon himself as a responsibility for that individual who makes his house their house. Whoever makes the house of Allah their house, what will Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do? He will give that individual comfort, tranquility. But it doesn't just end there. That is in terms of this world. People generally complain, I'm feeling depressed, I'm feeling upset. I get bombarded with calls, and more so now that I'm becoming a counselor more than ever. People phone up, marriage problem, this problem, depression, domestic violence, fighting, discord between husband and wife, the youngsters becoming atheists, the daughter has left home, run away. Subhanallah, our community are inundated with problems, and we as imams, I don't like to refer to myself as one, but in the light of the people, they're husnul dhan. They refer to us as imams, and our phones, by the qasam of Allah, are inundated with issues like this in our communities. So people complain, I'm depressed. Oh, Maulvi Sahab, parshana, depression ho gaya, I'm feeling down, I'm feeling depressed. Allah Ta'ala takes it, Allah is saying himself, what Rasulullah is saying, وَقَدْ ضَمِنَ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى لِمَنْ كَانَتْ بُيُوتُهُمَ الْمَسَاجِدِ. If you hold on to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, number one, Allah Ta'ala will give you ar-rawh wal-raha, peace and tranquility. Number one, this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In addition to that as well, he also mentioned the things of akhirah, the worry and concern which you and I have. How will you and I fare in the akhirah? How will we come across the bridge of Sirat? How will we enter into Jannah? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam mentioned, وَالْجَوَازُ عَلَى الصِّرَاطِ إِلَى رِضْوَانِ الرَّبِّ تَبَارَكَ وَتَعَالَى وَإِلَى الْجَنَّةِ. In addition to this as well, that individual that makes the house of Allah their house, it does not stop at a worldly sphere. It does not stop at a worldly base. It does not stop on the worldly front. It goes beyond this and transcends this. In the akhirah, Allah will facilitate your crossing across the bridge of Sirat. In addition to that, you will enter into the ridwan and the happiness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and ultimately into Jannah. A similar hadith is echoed as well. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he counts the number of people who will be fortunate to be underneath the arsh of Allah on the day of Qiyamah. He mentions سَبْعَةٌ يُظِلُّهُمُ اللَّهُ فِي ظِلِّهِ. 7 types of people, Allah tabarak wa ta'ala will put them underneath the arsh of Allah. There will be no shade on that day except for the shade of the arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One of those individuals is رَجُلٌ قَلْبُهُ مُعَلَّقٌ بِالْمَسَاجِدِ. That individual whose heart was forever and always attached to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, his mithal and his example was what? كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا صلى الفجر جلس في مصلاه حتى تطلع الشمس حسنا. He sallallahu alayhi wasallam Mubarak habit was what? Whenever he would finish his Fajr Salah, this was the first thing he would do. He would remain seated in his place, he would not even move, and he would remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala until the sun has fully risen. It mentions in the hadith additional to this is separate from this hadith, that individual that remains seated in their place of prayer, and then when the sun has risen, after the sun has risen, and we calculate it with approximately 15 to 20 minutes as a guide, that individual then performs 2 rakat of Salah. That individual will get the reward of an accepted Hajj and Umrah. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, to emphasize this point, he stressed an accepted Hajj and Umrah, he mentioned 3 times. These all things are in relation to what we can get out of the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's very sad, not that We focus too much on the worldly pomp and show. Our masjid versus their masjid. Our masjid has the better facilities. Our masjid has the better this. And unfortunately, we fall victim to this as well. I got a phone call, and now I'm very particular. I ask 101 questions. Why are you holding the program? Who's invited? What's going to happen? What's the protocol? People phone up, and one guy goes, "We're holding a program. We want to call you for a speech." So, TK, by all means, alhamdulillah, all and good is the deen of Allah. But anyway, and I was like, what encourages you to hold these programs? He goes, the Rasul, what's happening is the local masjid, they're holding big programs. So we should also get the slice of the pie as well. And I said, brother, this is really incorrect thinking. You're holding talks, you're holding programs so you can basically be in competition with the neighboring masjid. This is not the thinking of that ummah which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam left this ummah upon. This was more of the thinking of Masjid Dirar, Allahu Akbar. It's a long story and perhaps we don't know the history, but I'll just make ishara. There was a masjid that was built by people with a wrong motive who were part of the munafiqeen. They built a masjid just to create discord. Now, I'm not saying that we can go around and pass these fatwa. I'm simply saying let's be a bit more conscious. Are we now falling into the same trap that we're doing things because now we are in competition with the other? In that case, we are those sad statistics which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Inna min ashrati sa'a ayatabaha an-nas fil masajid." People will just toward the day of Qiyamah will compete with one another in building masajid. But the masjids will be void and empty of iman. The masjids will be void and empty of hidayat. This thinking we have, alhamdulillah, in our communities, mashallah, we do have this shawq, this trend, this raghba, this talab towards building the house of Allah. Alhamdulillah. But transcending this, going beyond this, we need to establish Islamic centers. What do we mean by Islamic centers? Model masajid, model mosques, exemplary figures that will shine bright in society. Our Salaf al-Salihin, there's no shortage of people who held an attachment to the masjid. Sa'id ibn Musayyib rahmatullahi alayhi mentioned, now look, put yourself into the thinking for a moment. When we come to the house of Allah, mashallah, Jummah time, the masjid is packed, jam-packed to the rafters. You can't even fit another person in. You know what I just had? It is ram-packed. As you're on your way out, if you say to somebody, brother, are you coming next week for Jummah? He'll say, what sort of question is that? I'm not going to come for Jummah next week. Of course I am. In a lower voice, go to him and say, brother, next, are you going to come for Asr Salah? And he say, oh, make dua, I'm very weak. Make dua, inshallah, make dua. Traditionally, people do come to the masjid on Jum'ah, and I'm not knocking that. That's a good thing, alhamdulillah. I'm not knocking that at all. It's something to be proud of. I mean, that was one thing I questioned my mum's family. My mum's revert, so I asked my mum's family. I said, like, okay, you refer to yourself as Christians, but how many times do you diligently, religiously go to the church on a Sunday, perhaps? My family, I've got cousins that, other than being Christian, they never went back to the church. Or they got married in the church. Now that's up to them. Lakum dinukum waliyadin. We're not here to knock people. I'm just giving an example. So for us, that's a source of, we're proud of that, alhamdulillah. We do have people that come to the house of Allah. But are we falling in just that tradition, that thing that, okay, I've been to the masjid Friday, mashallah, tick the box and do one. A couple of years ago, I was on my way to Preston. We were musafir, so we stopped off in a local masjid, did our salah. It was Ramadan. We was in a rush, so we had to do our fard and duck out, come out, and we wanted to get back on the motorway. So as we come out now, we jump in the car. Literally, as we parked up, one brother was in front of us. He come out, goes in the masjid. When we come out, he comes out with us. We're in the car park. We're in, literally just outside the masjid car park. And Ramadan, we start our car, he starts his car. But wallahi, what made me feel sad, and it made me think of this. We're not judgmental, we're not looking down upon anybody, we're not questioning people. It is Allah who will question. But if you turn on your car and the first thing that's gonna pump is Biggie and Tupac, you think to yourself, what benefit did you just come and get from the house of Allah? Was it just that, okay, I've ticked my box, I'm a Muslim, alhamdulillah. Many people, they come for Jum'ah because they think if I don't go for Jum'ah, I'm done, I'm gone out of Islam. So it's like, let me go there, completely do my thing, go, and alhamdulillah, I'm still a Muslim. Now, again, I'm not knocking that. I'm saying we need to improve. Let's talk about our faults. And let's see, do I do that? Do I do that? I know Jumu'ah is 1:30. Imam Saab will start the khutbah bang on 1:30. What time do I come into the masjid? 1:29:59. It's the one time of the week. If you don't have a regular attachment to the house of Allah, it was that one opportunity to come, listen, interject, bring something within, improve, go closer to Allah, internalize the message of Allah and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam.